Hello and welcome to the Littles and Bigs podcast. I'm Biggs.
I'm Littles, even though I'm Bailey.
And I'm Liam. So in last week's episode, we told you about our trip to Winnipeg and Minnesota. This week's episode,
we're going to jump back before our first trip where we got the travel bug, and then we're going to jump to the trip right after we got the travel bug.
Yeah, so essentially we're going to bookend the Colorado Springs trip here quick. So to start off, we're going to talk about the cabin getaway. Well, at least that's the way I've been calling it for years. And this came about in June of 17, and we went to a friend's cabin that was just in one of their cattle pastures for land that they have of their farm. It's in the central portion of Nebraska. So this actually would technically be our first trip, and we just kind of want to give you a little insight into that. We've got our Littles and Bigs swag on today. She's got her long sleeve. I've got the hat. I'm wearing the trucker hat. It's comfortable.
Yeah. Our main logo is kind of stacked a little bit, but on the hats and on Liam has a pair of sweatpants. We also have a logo that's a little bit more horizontal. So
it makes it large on the hat. I like it.
I'm wearing a long sleeve army green. I added a little bit of established piece to it. So it says established.
Added a little customization.
Yeah. Established December 2nd of 2021. So super cool place in my heart. Then I also have a crew neck that is navy and it just has the Littles and Bigs logo on it. And then you have a hoodie that's similar in color, a little bit lighter. Also has a logo on it, and then again sweatpants, which are pretty comfortable. We also have stickers, and if you do happen to end up at littlesbigsadventures.com and you get some swag and it's over $25, you will be sent a sticker.
So June of 2017, before we actually took our first trip together, which gave us the travel bug, which maybe this was a little piece of that, a friend invited us out to their farm where they had put a cabin. And it was gorgeous.
Yeah.
The cabin had so much incredible woodworking in it. And I remember at the time I was trying to dive in a little bit to woodworking. Yeah. It wasn't really an option though because we're living in an apartment. But I just remember I was in awe of the woodworking.
I remember walking in, the second that you walked in, you could just smell the woodwork, which is so cool. And then they also had a really old wood burning fireplace.
I don't think we used that.
We didn't use it, but it was really cool. I mean, we didn't use it because out back they also had a beautiful campfire setup, and we used that a lot more. But
the majority of the trip was spent in their ATVs.
Going around the farm.
Yeah, and we played a few games of Capture the Flag and just kind of explored the land.
I've never played a game on that large of a scale. It was pretty cool, and they had, lots of land.
I think we did play a few board games, though, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. Yeah. Some board games inside. We made some good food. Beautiful, nonetheless.
It was exciting. It was fun.
It really does describe kind of our personalities because a lot of the times people will take trips to, the big city, go to Vegas, go, somewhere with their friend group.
California
and we go out to central Nebraska in the middle of nowhere in a cabin that was, beautiful. We played board games. We sat around the fire. We played Capture the Flag and drove ATVs around the entire pasture. And it was a lot of fun. It's definitely more fitting to us just being out and enjoying our time out in the open, not in the busy city.
We saw a magnificent sunset. I remember that because I still have the pictures and I just went through them recently. I think it was just time that we kind of took a second, got away, unwound a little bit, and that was just perfect because it was, like you said, out in the middle of nowhere. And we sat around a campfire, made s'mores, and we watched the sunset, and then we just drove around this land on ATVs, and it was peaceful and quiet, and so I think it was perfect.
Yeah.
And so then shortly after that, just a couple months later, we went to Colorado Springs, and then March of 2018, it was spring break for you at school, and we went to a different country for the first time. We went to Winnipeg, which was the episode you heard last week, and we hit Minnesota on the way back, and then this is where it started becoming normal. So next we're going to jump into the Des Moines trip.
So talk about travel bug.
Yeah, and then from that point until now, aside from the pandemic was really the longest time we went without traveling.
For the longest time, we were probably going at least a weekend trip every month. Or every other month.
I think it was about every other month.
I mean,
because financially, that's what we could do.
Yeah, but at least a weekend trip. Sometimes we just do a Saturday, Sunday.
June 2018.
June of 2018.
we took our first trip to Des Moines.
Yes.
A lot of our trips are based around trying to go to hockey games and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Well, June, obviously, there's not a whole lot of hockey going on.
Especially in the USHL, which is what we could have gone to see. Mm-hmm. This was truly a travel trip because, again, yeah, we usually plan it around some sort of event, usually hockey. Mm-hmm. And this one was just to get away.
I remember we stayed in an Airbnb that made me a little uncomfortable because I was still pretty shy. It was
that old couple.
Older, and we were staying in his son's room.
Yeah. It was
because his son was off at college.
We were still warming up to Airbnbs because when we
that was
went
only
up
my second Airbnb experience.
It was third because we went up to Winnipeg and Twin Cities.
Okay, yeah, I guess it is third.
So,
I always consider that one, but yeah,
but Winnipeg, we stayed in a 1-bedroom apartment, had the whole place to ourselves. It was
so that was very comfortable.
Yeah, it was pretty
Colorado
decent.
Springs.
Yeah, Colorado Springs
basement.
was the very first. We had the entire basement, so they were upstairs, but they were really nice because we forgot to talk about the rainstorm. We got in that rainstorm and came in and we were soaked. And she was like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. If you put your shoes on the stairs and any wet clothes, I will go and wash and dry them and put them at the top of the stairs in the morning."
Oh, yeah.
And that was
I remember that.
So nice of her because she did not have to do that, but it was super nice. So we had that experience. And then Winnipeg was a 1-bedroom apartment. Twin Cities was a little questionable because it was the guest house.
Twin Cities was a guest house, but it was still, we weren't
This one was still then not a step down, but a step, I guess, like a step down in size. And the bathroom wasn't shared, but it was still like in the main living space of the other people.
So the way it was kind of set up was we were at one end of the hallway, they were at the other end.
Because they used their ensuite.
They had their bathroom down there, and we used the bathroom that I assume his son used mostly, which was like right across the hallway.
It was clean and everything. It's just
it was clean, and it was there was no cut off state. It was just space. Interesting because, like, say you stubbed your toe or you coughed or you sneezed, like they were gonna hear that. Where all the previous ones that we had stayed at,
you had your own space.
They weren't going to hear it if, like, you sneezed or something, you know?
The reason we did it was worth it because we truly were going down and staying. Friday night, we got there so late that we just went in and slept, and then Saturday night, and then we left on Sunday. So it wasn't really worth it to book a hotel at that time.
Well,
Price-wise, it made sense.
We were very much avoiding hotels at that time because we thought Airbnbs were so much better, which
price-wise
at the time we were because we didn't have to look for, like, dogs or anything like that.
So you could get a room for, $20, $30 a night, and it was decent. And again, this place was decent. The people were great. It's just the comfort of being in the same shared space and not having any cutoff. Yeah. Like, the only way to be cut off from them is to go get in the car.
Just close the door. That's all you had, And
versus having a level between us or just having the place all to ourselves.
But I remember we got in that night. I don't think we even unloaded our bags. I think we just went straight to downtown Des Moines, and then we were trying to find somewhere to eat. I grabbed my camera, and we walked around downtown because I was like, I'm going to get some pictures of downtown. We found a place to eat. It was a brewery. I can't remember the name of it, but the food was pretty good, and kind of walking around downtown was...
always enjoyable.
Yeah. There was a lot of construction going on in the city at the time, though, because there was the state capitol, that one with the big golden dome that was having construction on the dome. And then the courthouse also had a bunch of construction, and the road construction's always going on. But otherwise, we were able to explore the majority of the downtown area, and I think we had a pretty good time. And this was the first time we were in the headquarters city of HyVee, so we tried to find...
I remember that.
...a few HyVees, and they had one in downtown that was pretty cool.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure Des Moines is smaller than Omaha, but that downtown makes it feel a little bit bigger sometimes just because they have more, it seems like, going on downtown. And also they have the Capitol building, which obviously is not... Omaha does not have that for the state, so...
They don't really have a big college there.
Yeah.
Like Omaha, they have a pretty good sized school. So, like, a lot happens at, like, 72nd and Dodge area.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, Des Moines, everything that's happening is downtown.
After we got food, we had to come back after eating and go to bed. And again, it was just weird because I think we had the code or the key or something to the door. So we were able to come inside. But it's just, like, weird to come into someone's house when they're definitely sleeping and having to, like, go into the room that you're renting and go to sleep. They're super nice, but I don't think we really did that experience again.
No, I think we made sure that
we had like a level between us, or like a
pretty good
our own
separation
apartment
space.
Or something. So it gave us a little bit of incentive to get up and kind of get out and go do stuff, which we did.
I don't actually remember what we did though.
I have no idea. I just remember waking up and trying to get ready a little bit quietly and then dipping. We tried to go into the state capitol, but that door was closed.
Closing.
Yeah, it was like we were like, we got there like 5 minutes before it closed, and they were like, no.
We went to the State Historical Building of Des Moines, Iowa, but I'm pretty sure it wasn't called that when we went. We did get a few good pictures in there. And then after that, it looks like we went to take a look at the State Capitol Building, which was pretty cool.
But on a Saturday, they closed at like 2.
Yeah, something like that.
So by the time we got there, it was like 1:50, and they didn't let us in.
Yeah, which is all right.
I do remember one thing.
What?
It was freaking hot.
It was very warm. So we did get just barely inside the State Capitol Building,
and then they
so that we could get the AC.
Yeah, it was just very hot. I don't do well in the heat, so.
Neither of us do. The only thing that kind of got me about the Capitol building was, they were doing a bunch of work on the big gold dome, and I just really, really, really wanted to get a few pictures of it.
And there wasn't. There's no angle you could get it.
There was literally scaffolding all the way around it, so it was like, well, I'm still going to take pictures, but
the pictures are still cool, and from a distance they look okay.
Well,
but
there's a big mirrored building next to it, so I took a picture of the building that is mirrored, that was mirroring the Capitol building. That one looks cool because you can't really pick out the details of the scaffolding that was around.
He was trying to take pictures and line things up, and I was trying to find a freaking tree.
Yeah.
With shade.
Yeah, because then we walked down to try and find food, and we ended up, there wasn't like a whole lot open for some odd reason.
It was just a Saturday. It wasn't even late. It was only like 2 or 3 in the afternoon. It wasn't.
It was weird. And then I think we went into like a pizza spot as well. Do you remember like the little hole in the wall that I don't think they even had bathrooms
for like a late lunch trying to get some food.
And I think they were so hippie they didn't even have AC, so we were like, nope, we got to move on.
Oh yeah, we went and sat down for a little bit, and then we were like, this is too hot, and then we left.
There was flies everywhere and stuff. So yeah, we left that, and then I don't remember where we actually went and ate. And then I think we went back to the Airbnb and tried to cool down and relax a little bit, because the next thing it looks like we did is
the bridge.
I think we just drove around.
Yeah, we always do that. We take drives all the time.
I mean, that's one of our favorite things. Just go explore the city, drive around.
Even in Omaha, we've explored a lot of the city, and we'll still just go take drives without the dogs. Just explore.
And we still find new areas.
Yeah.
Then that evening, that is when we went to what is called Gray's Lake, and it had a big
pedestrian bridge,
and it had a whole bunch of colorful lights going through it, and it was really cool. But yeah, I think we just had a ton of fun there.
Yeah, the bridge was really cool. Again, really cool pictures.
The downside were the bugs. Obviously, it was summer and we were on a lake.
It was still better though, because the sun was already pretty much down, so it wasn't scalding hot anymore.
Well, and there was you could see the city, the city skyline from it. And I remember too, the longer we stayed, they started having fireworks.
Yeah.
So we kind of sat there and watched the fireworks over the city skyline.
Which it was just early June, so
I think it was probably because of a baseball game there, because they do have the Iowa Cubs.
Yeah.
And then that night we went to Bebop's, because I think we drove by it like 4 or 5 different times. We were like, we want to try this. This is like a Des Moines local thing.
Yeah.
We got to try this.
Yeah, if you ever come to Omaha or, in Nebraska, you try Runza. There's different places you go, and they're like, hey, try this because it's the local thing. So, yeah.
So Nebraska has Runza, and Des Moines had Bebop's.
They had Bebop's. It was pretty good.
It is pretty good. It reminds me a lot of Burger King, but at the same time,
I would choose it over Burger King.
I would. It has kind of like that old school, somewhere in between the 60s and 80s. It had the neon lights, and it felt like when you pulled up, the servers should be on roller skates.
So,
then we parked, just kind of sat there, and I think an airplane's flew over, because that's when we went over again. And we did end up going to McDonald's to get a McFlurry, just because I wanted a McFlurry.
And then we went back
just sat there and enjoyed it. And then, we went back to the Airbnb and ate our Bebop's. Yeah. And then that was the night. I mean, that was Saturday. And then Sunday was very exciting for us. Yeah. Because that's when we were getting up to leave, and we needed gas. And so we were just kind of like, let's go back to that HyVee and go get some gas. And I think as we were doing it, all of a sudden,
Yeah.
The plane
Oh my
just
gosh.
flew over.
I think we were trying.
So giddy.
I think we were trying to plan a time, and I was looking at a list, I think, of departures instead of landings, and I was like, oh my gosh, they're departing the other way, and there are no departures, and it's whatever. And so then we went and got gas. And if you ever end up in Des Moines, there's a HyVee and a HyVee gas, and when they are landing the right way, they literally all of a sudden they just break over the top of the HyVee building, and it's so insane because it sounds like they come out of nowhere, because a lot of the times you hear the sound after they pass, so it's not like you hear them coming. They just pop over the building and they're there. And if some of them are small prop planes, but some of them are massive planes. And so then I finally found the right list and started looking, and there were quite a few coming in, so we got to watch like 3 or 4 come in.
Oh, we watched a lot more than that.
Well, some of them were
we
small
sat there.
planes. 3 or 4 massive ones.
We sat there for like
2
an
hours.
hour.
Felt like 2 hours.
We watched at least 15 planes land. We tried moving a couple times. We tried moving to the other side of the HyVee gas.
Nothing was as good as that spot.
We tried moving to like the Perkins parking lot, and then we started like driving up. We're like, maybe we can get closer to
and we
the
drove
airport.
around the airport,
So we
around the
drove
perimeter.
all the way around it, and
Nothing was better.
And then we just went right back there and watched a few more planes land before we left, and so that was
Des Moines.
exciting.
That
was the big spark of us
being in love with planes, but not
watching
necessarily
planes
being in
land.
love with flying.
Well, the only reason we didn't do air travel more is because it's so expensive.
Yeah. Well, and we do like road trips. We know that it takes a long time to get to the other side of the state, and you kind of have to drive through nothing. And
well, to get anywhere from here, you kind of have to drive
through nothingness
at
some
least
point.
2 hours, because Des Moines is about 2 hours.
Yeah.
So you have to drive at least
Kansas
2 hours to get
City.
anywhere. Kansas City is about 3,
And then there's
Minnesota
Colorado,
is 6, Colorado is 8, St. Louis is 8.
Yeah.
You know,
Sioux Falls, though.
I do remember going. Yes, Sioux Falls is 3.
Yeah.
Well, not quite 3, but I do remember when we were driving around the airport, we came across the Iowa National Guard, and we saw, those planes and stuff, the retired planes, and that was pretty cool. But yeah, I think that was like the perfect way to end that trip.
Getting outside of just Omaha, Council Bluffs, and the Iowa area, I think Des Moines was better than we were expecting it to be.
I think we grew up with the stigma of, Nebraska battles Iowa. It's either Nebraska or Iowa. I don't think for you and I that was a huge deal, just because we weren't the biggest football fans. Boy, I think that kind of wraps it up, though. That does it for episode 3 of the Littles and Bigs podcast. Tune in next week for episode 4, in which we will talk about White Bear Lake, Minnesota, which was a trip we took with my mom and sister.
Yep.
And Wichita, where we went down for an air show.
Yeah. And then we can tell you our fun cop story. Anyway.
I forgot that.
And then episode 5 will be 2019, which is just going to get us closer to where we are now. And as soon as we get to where we are now, we can talk about what we're about to do.
Once we kind of cover our backlog, we'll probably start discussing more of our transition into full-time RV life.
Which is super exciting.
I do really want to thank you for listening to these first 3 episodes.
As much as they are us just kind of stuttering and stammering through
We're
everything.
figuring things out. So if you guys can, get through these first few with us, I mean, it's only going to keep getting better from here. You can always, leave your feedback on our social media pages, Instagram and Facebook, both of those Little Bigs Adventures.
You can contact us at littlesbigsadventures@gmail.com.
Each podcast episode will have show notes on littlesbigsadventures.com/podcast. Littlesbigsadventures.com will have absolutely everything. It is the central hub, so it is the best place to do anything and everything Littles and Bigs.
Yeah.
All right, well, that'll do it for us. I'm Biggs.
I'm Littles.
And we're signing off. In the center of it all. Well, let's not get full of ourselves just yet, shall we?
There might be one person listening to this.
Okay, you're right.
It might be my mom.
If you're watching it, it's like right there.
Yes.
Limited edition.
Limited
50.
edition. Limited edition 50. Actually 49. One is on Liam's computer.
49. Free sticker.
What? Air conditioning, please turn off now.
All right.
Testes, 1, 2.
Okay. All right, let's jump into the next trip.
Okay. Yeehaw!
This is exciting stuff, isn't it? Great content.
Really great.
Talking about the old couple? Mm-hmm. That was Des Moines as well. Right, Des Moines,
Fargo?
Minnesota. We went up for the Jets game, January of 2020.
Yeah, and we went outside on their back porch and drank wine.
Hope that was Sioux Falls.
I don't know. What did it look like?
The mall you're thinking of with Caribou is also Sioux Falls. It's
like-
Winnipeg. That was our second trip.
It was?
Mm-hmm.
I was half right.
We did at some
You
point,
were
yes.
other half right.
Um,
Shush. Friggin' people on there. Friggin' shit.
boy, this is going swimmingly.
I love how we've been to Des Moines that many times and we still have yet to go to Adventureland. Don't test me, Barbara.
Who the fuck is Barbara? Oh, that was fun now, bud. I should probably go turn it off. Yeah, bye.